Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
Powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. This is the Morning Sports Desk. I'm CJ Baumgartner, joined by Corey Tackman, our guy Zeke, joining in to talk a little state hockey, recap some girls basketball section, playoffs, and more. But Corey, it's lunchtime. Get us hungry. Talk about the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
Talked about it yesterday. Worth talking about again today. The Triple Play Challenge is here at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Calling all FunZone Rewards members. Earn 1,000 free FunZone tickets when you play, buy, or reload 3 times by May 31st. This is how you can qualify. You can play. Stop by the FunZone to play your favorite games. You can buy a new FunZone card at the FunZone or online. You can reload your FunZone card at the FunZone or online. If you're not a FunZone Rewards member, just scan the QR code that you can see on your screen right now or on the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade Facebook page, or, of course, stopping in person. And join the FunZone Rewards to take advantage of this exclusive offer. 1 qualifying visit per 12 hours. 3 visits must be made at the same FunZone location. Play-in purchases must be made on a FunZone card registered to a FunZone Rewards account. Offer valid once per FunZone Rewards account. The qualifying visits must be made by May 31st. It is the Triple Play Challenge at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in downtown Wadena.
All right, so recapping a little bit of some section high school girls 8AA semifinal playoff.
Basketball, give me the ball because I'm gonna dunk it!
We had a couple great games last night at Memorial Auditorium in 8AA girls basketball playoffs. Semifinal matchups, Menahga versus, Sabika's in a different section. Menahga versus, I have a little UNC on the brain. Menahga versus DGF. And then also we have on the other end of the spectrum, Perham versus Frazee. Zeke, let's start off with the first game with Menahga versus Dilworth Glendon Felton. We were talking about it on the car ride over to the gym, and we said, it feels like, because both teams want to play this, bring you down, defensive style. And it really felt like whichever team hit, what was the number we said? 48 points, Zeke, was going to be the one?
48 was the number that you threw out there, yep.
It was a race to 48, and the final score was 56-44. DGF with the victory over Menahga. And it was one of those games where, if you talk about things out of context, Zeke, if you just sat there and told a Menahga Braves fan before the game happened, and they're like, hey, you're from the future. What happened in this game? Just give me one stat. And you're going to say, Drea Christensen was held to 2 points. And they're going to go, oh, it's probably not our night then. And it was just one of those things where Menahga got open looks. Drea got open looks. It wasn't necessarily that, she couldn't do anything. It's just that, man, it felt like there was a lid on the basketball hoop at times for Menahga, and they just couldn't get enough shots to fall. Now, that being said, Dilworth Glendon Felton just as a physical presence defensively, that Amir Garrett for the Rebels is very, very tough to stop down low. And she was really scooped up 20-plus points in the affair. And overall, Zeke, just as Menahga's a great team, but you see why even a team that was 28-0 going into this game was a 4 seed, because that's just how strong 8AA has been this year.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be a big defensive matchup last night, and Menahga had no answer for Garrett. I mean, they were double teaming her, triple teaming her in the post, and she'd still get up and get the shot off and get it to fall. And like you said, there was a lid on the basket the first half for Menahga. Maybe Pinanini had a couple shots, get 3/4 of the way through, and then rattle out. Alexis Davidson had a couple threes, rattle out. She was the leading scorer for the Braves last night with 10 points off the bench. And yeah, just no field goals last night for Drea. Had 2 free throws in the second half. And and just an intense environment last night. I mean, DGF is 10 minutes from Concordia, and so their fan section was there. The student section was loud, and every time that Drea touched the ball or Mamie touched the ball, and I think later on Kiana Skoog touched the ball, they had air balls earlier in the game, and the DGF student section was letting them have it, and they just appeared rattled. They hadn't had an environment, they hadn't been down like that all season long. I mean, they've battled. They've been in close games. They beat Pequot Lakes on a buzzer beater back in week 1. They had the game winner, Drea's game winner against Wadena Deer Creek a couple weeks ago that you were at, CJ, to win the section. They had a close 4-point contest with Pelican Rapids earlier this season. So they haven't had all of the scores be lopsided in that 28-0 run that they had this season, that 28-game winning streak, but they just look overmatched against DGF last night. And the good news is Menahga going to bring a majority of that team back next year. The only senior, Kiana Skoog, she had 9 points in her final game last night, but you're bringing back Mamie, you're bringing back Drea, you're bringing back Anderson, you're bringing back Kaisa Hendrickson, and you're going to have another year of experience. And a lot of these Braves players are going to remember this game and how it ended. And if there is a DGF game on the schedule next season, whether it's in the regular season or in the playoffs, DGF has knocked the Braves out of the playoffs each of the last 2 years. This is one that they're going to be looking forward to next year, because I can guarantee you the outcome will not look like it did last night.
Lessons are hard to learn, especially in the moment, but they are lessons that fortunately you can take with you from one year to the next. And as we know about the Menahga Braves, let's be honest, we're pushing a decade now.
Yeah.
You just reload. There's just a nut. This crop is all coming back, but there's supporting staff that's going to be joining that roster over the course of the next year. And I don't worry about Menahga Braves girls basketball even a little bit.
No, not at all. And this was a team that, outside of Drea Christensen, they had 4 new starters come in this year, and they immediately, game number 1, beat a Pequot Lakes team that just upset Crosby Ironton last night. So it was a crazy night of girls basketball, and it's been a crazy season for Menahga in the best way possible. Obviously, they wish they could have won at least a couple more games to continue their season, but overall, they've proved once again, like Corey said, they just keep reloading and reloading and reloading, and there's always a group of girls in Menahga that are ready to step up and meet the moment. So congratulations, Coach Pouliou and company, on a great season, and they most definitely will be back in this spot again next year. Let's talk about the other game we had last night, Zeke, and this was a completely different tonal matchup. We, in that same car ride, after we talked about the DGF kind of number with Menahga, we immediately were like, what's the number, 68? And we were like, yeah, 68's the number. Turns out it should have been 78 was the number to clear. This game turned into an immediate track meet in the best way possible. At halftime, it was in favor for Perham, was a 35-33 matchup at intermission. Perham able to hang on and win 76-73. Frazee jumped out to a lead, and it felt like everything was going Frazee's way, and I mentioned that during the game. But then all of a sudden, like as soon as I said that, I looked up and I was like, well, it feels like everything's gone Frazee's way, but Perham's only down by like 8 points. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, the Yellow Jackets just do what they do best, and they just chip away at you. They pressure you. They make a shot. They're deep. They move up and down the floor, and they were able to put together a really, really good night offensively. Obviously, Kaya Anderson, the lone senior on this team, ended up finishing with 15 points, but Lauren Gierty finished with 25 to lead that team, and she was a huge presence down low in the post, scoring, rebounding, and I think when you look at the biggest thing, Sonnenberg was great. She started off, and within the first 5 minutes of the game, already had 12 points. She finished with over 30 in the ball game. But what really, I think, Zeke, won this game, I think both teams got their turnovers. I think both teams did what they wanted to do offensively. But I think it goes into the Perham Yellow Jackets did such a great job rebounding, and it just gave themselves extra possessions offensively, prevented the Hornets from getting second chance points. And I think the rebounding battle is really what led it for Perham.
Yeah, Frazee had the size to match up with Lauren Geary last night, but for some reason couldn't get that big rebound when they needed. She was up, she was tipping balls to teammates out beyond the arc, and then Hamburger and Quinn and insert name here was knocking down clutch threes on second chance opportunities.
There was a stretch in the beginning of the second half, Zeke, where it felt like Perham made about 4 huge threes.
Yeah.
And just kind of they got the lead in the second half, and they maybe tied once, but they always kept Frazee at bay and were able to hang on and win.
Yeah, I think Frazee was leading 11-5 or something like that. 3 big turnovers in the post for the Hornets, and it seemed like it was going to be a huge night for Frazee, and it was. I mean, it wasn't more than a 10-point game at times, and the 10-point lead cut to 5 midway through the second half. Just real quick on a couple quick buckets. Bryn Larson, I think, had 17 points last night for Frazee. So just back and forth and contested. And that's what we knew this one would be. Like you said, we knew it was going to be a shootout. We knew it was going to be a race. And it was. I mean, I told you during the break, I want overtime in this game. I don't want this game to be over. I want someone to hit this big bucket so we can keep watching this game, because it was that good last night.
And by the way, Frazee did have an opportunity. They got a steal. They were down by 5. They got a steal, and they were able to get a bucket going back the other way from Eckert. And it felt like, okay, 3-point game. They got the stop they needed to get. They had the ball with a chance to tie the game. We know Jaden Sonnenberg. She's a Division I commit to go play for the University of North Dakota next season. Like, she can knock down any shot. There's a couple other girls on the team that could hit a big shot if you need them to. And they just they panicked a little bit. Perham was able to get in that great pressure. They tried to get it out, and the Frazee Hornets just ended up having a pass go off the hands and out of bounds. And there was a couple seconds on the clock. Perham inbounded it. By the time Frazee was able to run and foul them, there was 0.2 seconds left, and 0.3 is what you need to get a shot up, and the game was over. And it just is one of those where, unfortunately for Frazee, they're just going to look back on that and be like, if we got to play up and we missed a shot to go to overtime, and you go, oh, well, you know, wasn't meant to be. When you have a turnover like that, it's just always that you can reminisce and be like, man, what if we were able to find Sonnenberg and she drills a miracle shot and we go to overtime, and who knows? But I mean, that's just things you say when it was a really fun game like it was last night.
Yeah, and just a couple of really, really good games. Like you mentioned before, Pequot Lakes upsetting Crosby Ironton last night, 61-58. We had a game go to overtime between Pine River Bacchus and Cass Lake Bena. That Pine River Bacchus won Breckenridge, surviving Underwood, I think. They were down for a good chunk of the game. They have a 2 or 3 point win last night. So just, it's playoff basketball time, and just so many great games last night.
Section championships are set in 8AA. It's going to be Perham versus Dilworth Glendon Felton. We will have coverage of that Friday night on the Superstation K106, a 7:45 pregame, 8 o'clock tip-off there. And also, before that game in Moorhead will be the 6A championship between those teams you mentioned there, Zeke, with Breckenridge leading the way in that 6A championship game, Breckenridge versus Hillcrest in that one. 5A, you have your Pine River Bacchuses versus your, I believe Bram was the other one on that other side. And then you have in 7AA, Pequot Lakes. And what was the Duluth Marshall won that other game, I'm guessing. Yes.
I'm assuming, yeah. They were the 2 seed in that.
So yeah, it's going to be fun. For those section championship games are always fun. And like you say, Corey, they're some of the best games of the season.
Should mention, I don't know if you did or not, and I just wasn't paying attention, but the 6A and the 8AA championships have been moved to Moorhead High School.
Okay.
So 6A game will tip off at 6, Hillcrest Lutheran Academy versus Breckenridge, and then it's scheduled for a 7:45. You know, that just always depends, because there will be a awards ceremony. Stuff. But DGF and Perham scheduled for a 7:45 tip. And those games now being played at Moorhead High School.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I haven't sent emails out yet to site hosts. So it's a good thing that I didn't need to waste my time reaching out to Concordia.
And you can avoid that construction in Moorhead between the B-Dubs and the Dairy Queen, because that was a mess last night.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fog, it was terrible.
It was not fun. And by the way, Zeke mentioning, I hope this game goes to overtime. And then I rebutted on air with, and it sounds like somebody whose ride home is half as long as my ride home. So it was a fun game. They were great, and looking forward to a good matchup between the Yellow Jackets and the Rebels on Friday night. those student sections for Perham and DGF always go after it in those section title games. I remember a couple of years ago, DGF and Perham, I think Perham won the section that year in 2023, and Perham, was like the scoreboard chants, the start the bus chants, whatever. DGF has to counter with something. They're all boys, so they counter with "Let's play football" because DGF was in the prep bowl that year. And Perham, knowing that attack was going to be lobbied against.
Oh no! Don't say those 3 words.
They were in the prep bowl, and they lost on the hook and ladder. So that section immediately, Let's play football chant ended. They, with big smiles on their faces, went hook and ladder.
Oh man!
Student sections are the best, man.
Can I also say elite pep bands last night? Elite pep band battle between Frazee and Perham. I mean, those music programs just awesome. Also, Menahga's pep band is great too. DGF didn't bring one for whatever reson. It was right down the street.
Eliminated for that alone.
Exactly, yeah. But just the back and forth pep band between Frazee and Perham was awesome last night too.
It was great. No real big matchups to speak on tonight because we are getting ready for our playoff coverage tomorrow. We have a couple games on the broadcast schedule. Do want to mention, too, before we wrap up the show, Zeke's going to talk a little hockey, is that we have a special episode coming out tomorrow talking with some state champion wrestlers. I have them all recorded. We're just getting it ready to roll, putting the finishing touches on kind of putting it all together in one big episode, but got some Staples Motley wrestlers, reached out to Perham. We got some great stuff on the program talking with those state champion wrestlers, and you can listen to that on the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade tomorrow, again, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. All right, fellas, let's wrap up the show. Zeke, it's time for the tourney.
It is, yeah. It's happening right now. I would be watching the game, but my laptop can't handle a sports desk stream and watching videos at the same time. So yeah, so the first game is going right now. Class A quarterfinals today. Dodge County, the 8th seed, both the boys and the girls for Dodge County going down. They're taking on top seeded Hibbing. That's my pick to win it this year. St. Cloud Cathedral's taking on Matamidi at 1. Then the night games, Mankato West versus Delano. And an interesting one here. You got the Northern Lakes Lightning back in the state tournament. They're taking on the Warroad Warriors. I didn't realize this because it seems like Warroad from Section 8A, the best section in high school hockey, by the way, is down there every single year. Last year, East Grand Forks won it from 8A. Detroit Lakes beat East Grand Forks in the semis. Warroad shut out Detroit Lakes in the championship game to get back to state. I didn't realize Warroad has not won a state tournament for boys hockey in like 20 years.
Really?
It's been a long time.
Been a long time.
A very long time. Warroad, they're the 3 seed taking on Northern Lakes tonight at 8. My brother is a law enforcement officer in Aiken, so he was involved in the big send-off yesterday. Northern Lakes is Aiken, Crosby, Ironton, Pequot Lakes, and maybe one other. Kind of that whole like northern school co-opt in there too. Yeah. And he knew that Warroad had beaten Detroit Lakes in the championship. My son Judah went to that game in Thief River Falls last week, and so he's been kind of rubbing him a little bit, like, hey, my Aiken Gobblers are in the state tournament, even though they're not the Aiken Gobblers. But it's been fun. That should be a good one tonight too. And then 2A is tomorrow. The big schools. I know Wadena is there, which is always good for them. Gentry Academy, Minnetonka, the Skippers, the 1 seed. Grand Rapids, Rosemount, Lakeville South, Moorhead Spuds, the defending state champions, are the 2 seed in the 2A bracket this year. And then Andover takes on Edina tomorrow night.
So can Moorhead defend the title? I know.
I hope so.
I signed yesterday, Zeke, that they were all ready for the tourney up for Spuds country. So it's a good time to be a Spud. Not only that, but 2 of their big 3 football players committed to the Gophers over the last week, and everybody's hoping that the Gophers complete the 3-peat with that. So
yeah, the Spud to Gopher pipeline is alive and well.
Is growing, if you will.
Yes,
the Gophers have been.
They need it
down to the.
They need it with some of the offensive talent that the Spuds have on football. They need to send as many kids to the U of M as they can.
I believe, going back to Class A hockey, I believe Coach Randolph is no longer the coach at Northern Lakes, correct?
He is not. No, he retired last season. So new coach this year. Yep.
Yeah. Randolph, of course, longtime head coach of Duluth East hockey, kind of had there was some controversy with his leaving. Then he went to St. Thomas Academy for a couple years, and then all of a sudden popped up in Northern Lakes and got them to a state tournament.
Yeah.
And then, stepping away. And I have no idea about the circumstances of that. I'm just, like you said, retired.
He retired. He's living in the South Metro now somewhere.
Exactly. So
Close
he
to
probably
grandkids.
always was, knowing stuff like that. But yeah, that I mean, it's good on those programs. It's good to get down there, and it's good for them to kind of to be in that spot. Because yeah, I when I think of Northern Lakes, I just think of like Pequot Lakes, because Pequot Lakes is just good in everything apparently all the time, and they always are reloading. But yeah, like you said, Zeke, it's that combination of Aiken and Pine River Bacchus and some of these other schools in the area. And they really have been a nice hockey program for a long time. So cool to see them get their props by going down to the state tournament in a section that is never easy to win. So,
yep, Outstate hates the Metro. Metro hates the private schools, but everyone hates Edina. The best time of the year.
Exactly. Zeke, you were explaining this in our text thread, and I asked you to explain this yesterday. Let's wrap up with some Minnesota Wild. The Minnesota Wild made a little minor trade yesterday. Tell us what it was. Tell us what this means in like MLB, NBA terms, however you want to say it.
Yeah, they brought in the big boy McCarron from the Nashville Predators. He's I don't think he'll be a top 6 guy, but he's an enforcer. He's a bruiser. He's a big body. He's not going to score a lot of points, but he's going to make life miserable for whoever's on the ice with him. Kind of NBA comp I got was kind of like an Andre Drummond. I mean, he's not going to score a lot of points, but he's going to be big. He's going to be physical, kind of taking over in that Foligno role while Foligno's getting back from injury. So a little bit of depth. Robbie Fabry, the same deal. I don't think Robbie's going to be a top 6 guy, more of a depth piece. But, you know, the trade deadline, I believe, is Friday. Is that the 6th? Friday. So still some time to make a deal. I just don't know what assets the Wild have left, because they gave up a 2nd-round pick to Nashville.
In like 2028 too. It's down the road.
Yeah, and that's what we're sniffing now, is because there's just after the Quinn Hughes trade and all this stuff, there's just not much left. So
well, apparently it's speculation, but a lot of people around the league feel like Minnesota is going to take another swing, because if you're Billy G, first of all, you're coming off the high of being the GM of the Olympic team and winning gold for the first time in 46 years. So you're feeling pretty good about that. And now you're also feeling pretty good about the fact that you have Quinn Hughes. And if you already made the trade for that, if you've already taken that big swing, you don't want to all of a sudden be done now. You're not going to go back to singles hitting after you rip the big home run. He's going to try and go do another one. It feels like Billy G already got his vets. Billy G loves his vets and his now he's got to try and go get that one big move, which we're going to get every big name player in the NHL and Jack Hughes next year.
Exactly. Yeah. I hate to break it to the Wild fans on Twitter and TikTok calling for the Wild to trade for Jack Hughes. The Wild are not going to trade for Jack Hughes. I mean, as much as we would love that, in order for Jack Hughes to become a Minnesota Wild, his contract in New Jersey will have to expire, and the Wild will have to use Quinn Hughes as a chip to get Jack here. And you could look at the team around Quinn right now and what Billy G has built. Do you want to be a part of that, or do you want to be a part of another rebuilding project in New Jersey? The core is here, and adding Jack Hughes as a free agent a couple seasons would be huge. A name to watch that I keep seeing is Vinny Trocheck with the Rangers. May be the guy that they try and bring in. Artemi Panarin was the guy. He's in Los Angeles now. The Rangers are having a fire sale. And if they can get Trocheck in here, I mean, that would I feel Vinny Trocheck on this team would vault them above Colorado as the favorite in the West. And if reckless speculation. And if Billy G can somehow pull it off without giving up a major piece, put him in the cup.
Put him in the cup. Can they get past the first round? That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for a Stanley Cup this year. I just want a fun playoff run like we've gotten with the Wolves the last couple of years. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the deal: is with the way that the playoffs are set up in the NHL. I mean, they're going to take on if they're the second best team in the Central, they're going to take on the third best team in the Central, which ironically is the second and third best team in the West. And they're looking at a playoff matchup with the Dallas Stars, who have struggled a little bit as of late, but.
Bennington healthy right by playoff time.
It's not going to be that traditional 2-7 matchup where they get to play a lower tier team. They're going to be playing one of the best teams. And if they do beat Dallas, they'll get Colorado in the conference in the next round. So it's just
Yeah, I mean, sure, the playoffs aren't fair and don't reward teams for regular season success at all. But I mean, think of the rivalries they create.
That's what Gary Bettman is doing. Is he's building up these rivalries, and it's worked.
NHL can never gain traction.
It has worked. I mean, I can't stand the Avs. I can't stand the Stars. The Vegas Golden Knights can take a long walk off a short pier, and that's because of how the playoffs have gone the last couple of years. So.
Yeah.
And the Blues and the Bluesers. You can't forget about the St. Louis Bluesers, too.
Yeah, at least they have a cup, I guess.
I'm just bitter.
Yeah. Minnesota Timberwolves got a win last night. They keep improving. And, of course, they're going to win every game from now on, Corey, because Kyle Anderson's back.
If you don't love slow-mo, there's something wrong with you. I have nothing else to say.
What's the term that they use on Twitter? The slow-mo-sexuals? Is that the term that goes around?
It's the term I'm using now.
Is that the term?
That's been a term. That's been coined. I'm not the one who coined it. That was coined on Wolves Twitter. I'm just telling you.
That's the first I've heard it, and I love it.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So,
yes. No, count me in.
Count Corey in. All right. Good win for the Wolves. They'll keep things rolling, and here we go. Gophers play tonight. I think this is their last regular season game, or they have maybe one more after this, and then they get to the tournament. Golden Gopher women, top 4 seed. They get a double bye in the Big Ten tournament this week. And, of course, now that Tori Orline, unfortunately, her career is done with the Crosby Ironton Rangers in girls basketball. We wish she could have kept playing. We wish she could have tried to have her own version of Long Gone Summer with Madden Greenway at the state tournament for that points record. That would have been so awesome. Unfortunately, that didn't come to pass. But that means she can start like hooking up shots. You think she could join them for the Big Ten tournament? Think she could join the Gophers? She's already committed there.
If she could have joined early. She could have early enrolled in January. Katie Baravich did it. The Roseau Ram left early. A lot of football players do it. A lot of football players leave high school early, graduate early, I guess, and then early enroll in college. I think, unfortunately, it's now a missed opportunity.
That opportunity is
whatever you want in college sports anyways now. I mean, what's the difference?
So true.
Play the NBA and come back to college. What are we doing here? That's its own set of issues. But that being said, Tori Orline would really should be a nice piece to add into the middle of this team. And I think the biggest thing to end this conversation is in Coach P, we trust.
Moo.
Morning Sports Desk powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. We will see you later.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.